about the bird flu and how it's mutating that we don't know about.
There's no yet cases of human-to-human transmission. That can happen at any time. Once that begins, we are indeed in for another pandemic.
Bird flu is getting a lot of attention right now, with some experts worried it could become a major public health risk.
Now the CDC also warns multiple viruses are surging.
The U.S. is grappling with a quadruple wave of potentially serious viruses just as millions of Americans wrap up the holidays and head back to work. The Centers for Disease Control says cases of the flu, COVID, RSV, and norovirus, or the stomach flu, began to rise just days before the holidays.
Starting with a breaking news alert. Health officials have just reported the first person has died of the bird flu here in the U.S.
Brevard County's Florida Wildlife Hospital has confirmed a half dozen cases of bird flu in the past couple of weeks.
And Darlene, that virus is arriving with migratory birds, but it's still too early to know how severe this season will be for Central Florida wildlife.
5 years ago, COVID-19 was first reported in China's Wuhan, and years later, the question still remains if the world is ready for another pandemic. The ongoing spread of a novel bird flu strain, specifically the H5N1, is causing alarm among public and animal health officials across the United States as it continues to infect various species. Now, the spread of the strain has raised concerns that the virus could mutate into a form transmissible between humans, potentially triggering a pandemic, which could bring the world to a halt in a similar way that it did years ago.
Yeah, Kendall, health officials in Louisiana just making that announcement. They say the patient was over the age of 65 and had underlying medical conditions. Doctors say the person caught the flu from a flock of wild birds. The U.S. has been facing an outbreak of the bird flu since April, when the first human case was reported. Now, the bird flu has also caused egg prices to soar as it has spread through kids nationwide.
If you start developing any respiratory symptoms, you need to get tested.
The CDC is warning of surges in flu, RSV, norovirus, and COVID cases. It's now predicting respiratory virus hospitalizations could be as high as last year, despite a slow start to the cold and flu.
I'm in my bag like I am some ruffles, ruffling these feathers by these hoes that they gonna do something. They gonna pay.
Season.
Those of us in infectious disease always worry about influenza.
The CDC reports a 12% jump in positive flu tests in the week ending December 21st. It says more than 12,000 people were hospitalized with the flu then. Right now, health officials say influenza A is the biggest concern, but experts are sounding the alarm about bird flu. Norovirus is another issue. Many people call it stomach flu, although it's not a type of influenza or even a respiratory illness. The CDC reports an unusual spike in norovirus outbreaks this month.
We are also moving into RSV season, respiratory syncytial virus season.
Health officials say the number of RSV cases is high and is increasing in most areas of the country. And young children are especially at risk. They say COVID cases are on the rise, too.
The good news is we have testing for COVID and for RSV and for influenza.
Bird flu is now suspected in deaths of 200 snow geese in the Lehigh Valley. The birds found at 2 different locations. Action News reporter Katie Catcho live in Upper Macungie Township today with the latest from the game. Commission and what we should know about this. Katie.
Brian, experts we spoke with say they're working to get bird flu under control, but in the meantime, they want to make the public aware. Avian influenza, also known as bird flu, is suspected as the cause of death for 200 snow geese found Monday in the Lehigh Valley. They were found around Lower Nazareth and Upper Macungie townships. The Delaware Department of Agriculture announced this morning that preliminary testing of a commercial broiler flock in Kent County, Delaware, has returned presumptive positive for H5 avian influenza. The state gaming commission is investigating the Pennsylvania cases.
We just hope that these mortality events that we recorded don't signal something worse is on the way.
Currently, the wilders at Pocono Wildlife have been trying to get the infected birds off the ground.
There is no cure or treatment for avian flu, so the best thing to do is to euthanize them and end their suffering.
In 2024, there were 23 confirmed H5 wild bird detections in PA, including 2 in our 5-county area, 1 in Chester County and 1 in Delaware County, both bald eagles. A big issue is how contagious avian influenza is.
It's devastating. And to know that other animals are eating those dead bodies, it's a terrible domino effect.
Indoor cats can also contract this flu.
It turns out that they're getting this through either raw pet foods that they're being fed of poultry origin, or through being fed raw milk products.
And where it goes from here, we don't yet know.
I wear something comfy, I grab my snacks, and I play Travel Town.
No.
Maricopa County health officials say the bird flu was detected in wastewater earlier this week. The CDC says in Arizona there are 2 probable cases with commercial poultry exposure in places like farms.
I talked to Felicia's farm and they tell me that they're already preventing those chickens in that coop and also humans from spreading it.
Washing his hands.
You could bring it in there if you had, if you were at another poultry farm.
And cleaning coops with about 600 chickens.
Keeping the straw in there and have everything covered.
Is House Scott Robbins, the supervisor at Felicia's farm on River and Pontotoc, is hoping to prevent the spread of bird flu.
First, we'll quarantine them and keep our eyes on them.
The Pima County Health Department says right now there are not any bird flu cases in humans and any risk is low. In Arizona, the CDC says there aren't any human cases and exposure is typically rare.
Our eyes on them.
The Pima County Health Department says right now there are not any bird flu cases in humans and any risk is low. In Arizona, the CDC says there aren't any human cases and exposure is typically rare. Luckily, Robbins says they don't have any cases in chickens either.
If it starts spreading, then yeah, we have to probably put them down.
He says they're also preventing the spread by stopping school tours.
You know, when we have kids over here, we put masks on them.
Eggs are getting more expensive and more difficult to find as a bird flu outbreak continues to hit California farmers.
Now with a strained supply chain, KCAL's Joy Benedict reports some people are cutting out the store altogether and going straight to the source.
If you've been grocery shopping recently, you may have learned to limit your egg expectations.
We've noticed there are none on the shelves.
Rebecca Dopplet found not an egg on the shelf at this Vons in Studio City, as it's been a tough couple of months for those looking for this breakfast staple.
We've had to pick some different recipes that don't need eggs.
And experts say it's just getting worse as the avian flu is causing a supply shortage and increase in prices.
"25 minutes and 53 seconds, and it was worth it."
Which has some flocking to Chino to get right to the source. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says the avian influenza, or bird flu, has already affected 17 million commercial birds across the nation. 47% of them are in California.
Millions of chickens have been killed, and there's just an egg shortage.
But is it the same strain that we've heard so much in the news about? As it relates to chickens and the price of eggs, because birds have to, be exterminated because of the virus.
It is. I mean, so this is one of those rare strains. It's the H5N1 strain that leaves some populations of bird wild and certainly domestic birds vulnerable to infection. Yep.
Okay, we're talking now about the human transition part of this. Again, I mentioned Michigan and Wisconsin. Is it your opinion that it is a matter of time before we get a human case in Illinois, or is there something different that happens in our state that has made that not the case?
I don't know that it's anything different in Illinois, but it's just the fact that it's the likelihood of transmission to people is just so low. When you opened 65 cases since circulation of HPAI back in 2022 in the United States, and of those, only 14 cases in the past 30 days across 9 states. Illinois just happens to be one of those, but still very, very uncommon to occur in people. And when it does occur in people,